Creative Katie here, and welcome to my channel, Mixed Media Creations. Follow me on Instagram, www.instagram.com/creativekatie. Don't forget to subscribe and be sure to select the option to be notified as soon as I upload a new video. You won't miss any that way. Today we have index card a day, number 27, ICAD 27. It's entitled, Stars Can't Shine Without Darkness. Links to any products can be found in the description box below. Thanks for shopping through my Amazon links. So I have all these punched out circles. There's large ones, there's small ones. I punched them out for Christmas card classes that I was teaching, and I've always wanted to use them, but every time I drag them out, I end up putting them away and I don't use them. So today I just thought, I'm going to play with these. So I picked out 4 different designs, kind of in coordinating colors, and just laid them on the ICAD, and I'm just going to glue this down with some gel medium. At this point, I have no idea, beyond I wanted to use circles, about where this is going. I had no idea for a focal point. I had no idea for anything. So, and that's okay. Sometimes that's where you start. You start with one idea and hopefully the other ones come. And if it doesn't, it's okay to just set it aside and let it sit for a while. Now I picked coordinating colors. There's pink, but it has the blue colors on top of it. And these are all gel prints that I created. And I'll put a link to some of those videos if you're interested in creating some of your gel prints to use as collage sheets in your mixed media pieces. So I'm going to give this a quick dry. I'm not really happy with the 2 circles that are kind of smack dab in the middle. They're a little too straight and organized, but later on I kind of camouflage that with the placement of the focal point and sentiment. So I'm kind of liking the look of this. This is making for an interesting background. Now I didn't paint the background, so you see that little white peeking through, and actually it doesn't look so bad. But I decide that I want to make these circles pop a little bit more. So I grab my angle brush and I have some Dina Wakley's Heavy Body paint in the color Night, which is a very, very dark, with a tinge of, it reads purple to me. And I'm just doing my usual floating acrylics around these circles. And I just kind of want to bring them out, kind of enhance them a little bit. So I'm kind of going around. Now, if you don't want to do this shading technique, you can use a Stabilo All pencil. You can shade using pit brush markers. Make sure that it's coated with gel medium, so it's a non-porous surface. And you could even do with charcoal. Watercolor pencil. Just be aware that if you use anything that's water soluble, you have to be careful what you put on it later with wet medium. We're just kind of shading around it. Now I kind of got some on the white there, and I thought, okay, you know what? I am going to paint in that area between the circles in that same night color. It kind of gets rid of the contrast, and so, but either way, I mean, I could have just left it. So I'm kind of thinning down the paint and just applying a couple layers to get the dark depth of color that I want. I just was afraid to make it too dark, and I really think that black here would have been too dark. So there, using circles, we have an interesting background. So I'm just using up the leftover night paint and just edging the ICAD. For me, it's not finished until this happens, and sometimes before I do the next step, I like to do that. It also gives me think time. Just want to bring out a little bit more shading on some of these. And that's the nice part. You can always add more. So start with a little, and then you can always build up. And I realize right now that I'm kind of back into that purpley, pink, blue color scheme. Obviously my happy place. And you know what? Embrace what you love. So I have these colors, when the tubes get down, and I just put them in. But I decided that it was so nice and handy to have the black one there, which is because it was an empty, or almost empty tube, that I put some white and some gold in because it's so easy. And those are the colors that, pretty much use for every one. So I wanted to do some highlighting, but I really wasn't liking how it was turning out. And I think part of the problem was I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. If I wanted to make these be circles or spheres or marbles, the highlight made more sense. But then I decided, I'm just going to put some white on there, and I'm going to splatter with white because I liked how the white just kind of made those colors pop a little bit. So I'm thinning down the white paint, grabbing my fan brush, and just splattering the white. And I'm loving this. It lightens it just that smidge. And giving it a dry. When you splatter, make sure you take the time to dry it. It stays wet a little bit longer, and you don't want to smudge it. It's so easy to take out a little bit of paint out of those containers. So when I was looking for a focal point and going through my stash, I came across these puffy silver hearts and arrows and stars. And so then I was looking for sentiments that would go with any of those things, and I came up with this one, Stars Can't Shine Without Darkness. So there wasn't quite enough of those puffy stars, so I decided, well, instead of using those, I would just stencil some stars on there. And the size of stars I want is only on this was a dollar store stencil. So I'm just kind of using it. And I put the sentiment there because I don't want to put stars. I want to kind of work around it. When I put the silver stars on there, or the silver heart, I really liked how the silver went with the colors that we had put in the background. So it just made me happy. So I decided at that point we absolutely were going to do silver. So my plan is to put a whole bunch of these texture paste stars, and then I'm going to paint them silver. So it's a little bit difficult because I kind of have to manipulate the stencil so I don't mess up the wet texture paste. You could, if you want, take time to dry in between. I'm just trying to fit it in. So instantly, once I start putting these stars on, the circles get pushed further back because they are part of the background. They aren't the focal point. So I'm loving the look of these stars on this background. I grabbed my cobalt blue archival ink and I'm edging it with cut and dry foam. And that just again makes it work better with the background. You can outline it with a Stabilo oil pencil if that's the way you want to go. I just find this works better, especially on a small surface. But that's personal taste. So I have Artist Loft silver paint, and I'm just going to thin that down a little bit and grab a thin brush. I think I end up with a liner brush to paint the stars, being careful not to get the silver on the sides. You can mix paint with the texture paste before you put it on, but in the case of metallic, you would lose the shiny part of it. And the texture paste, since it's white, will also soften any of the colors you mix with it. So typically I don't mix color into the texture paste. Maybe that's something I need to play with. And I'm thinking, I'm probably going to have to give it 2 coats of silver paint just to get the coverage that I want. While those are drying, I'm just applying gel medium and adhering the sentiment. And because it's all ink or acrylic, I don't have to worry about any of the colors bleeding or reactivating. Forgot to paint 1 star. Decided that I needed to splatter with silver. And it does give that little bit of shine. And now it also pushes that background even further back because it's not about the circles, although that is a really interesting way. Using up the rest of the silver paint. This is a coffee filter that I put some leftover paint on. And then I decide, I'm going to use these stars. They are a little bit more sparkly and a little different 3D. And I'm just attaching that with some gel medium. They are adhesive, but they're quite old. I've had them since almost the beginning of when I started art journaling. And I like the addition of that big one. It gives, it's perfectly framed on that circle. Not bad for not having planned that from the beginning. All in all, I'm really happy with how this one ended up. I did not know where I was going to end up with this, but things really came together. So get out your stash and have fun. Start with circles. Bye for now.